Pete Vargas III of Advance Your Reach. So Pete, I will give you a minute to say hello.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. It's awesome. And I'm over here like watching the live and like I love to see what's going on in the audience and engage. So excited to be here with you today.
Awesome. So I met Pete years ago, back before Advance Your Reach was what it was today, having a massive global impact on the speaker world. And so I was lucky enough to be referred by a mutual colleague. We had this very amazing first meeting on a day that it was like blizzarding out in Denver.
Yep.
And it took me like more than 2 hours to drive down to this meeting. And when I finally got there, I got to sit down with Pete and dream about what potential he had with Advance Your Reach. And I was lucky enough to be awarded the job to design his logo and his website. And, you know, when you are working with somebody in that way, it's intimate. And you really get to know who the person is and what their core values are and the brilliance behind their work. And I'm lucky enough to attract in real players. And Pete is definitely one of them. I tell Pete that he's the only person that I recommend for a systematic approach to booking stages, right? So if you are a seasoned speaker, or if you are thinking, maybe the speaking thing has some potential, maybe I should learn more about it, this live stream is for you. And I'm just so blessed to know Pete and grateful for his time, because seriously, you guys, Pete is really at the top of his game and in all ways. And so this is a big deal that we get 25 minutes together. We're going to talk about the business of speaking. And so we're going to be talking about what stage options are there? What's the landscape right now for speakers? How do we get on more stages? But the biggest thing is that if you know me at all, I am a systems junkie, right? By creating a systematic approach to it, we can create more predictable outcomes, right? And especially if you want to scale that message of yours, if you want to scale your impact, then you're going to get a lot of value out of today's live stream. However, I got an idea about 30 minutes ago. I'm not even kidding you, Pete. It's like just came in. And I thought, how fun to do like a little experiment to see how much of an impact that you and I could have together right here, right now on this live stream. For those of you who are just starting to roll in, tune in, there should be a button at the bottom right-ish of the screen where you can actually start what's called a watch party. When you click that button, and I encourage you to do it now, it's actually going to take a copy of this live stream video and put it on your personal profile feed. It's literally that simple. You click a button, it automatically happens. This way we can impact more people with our message today. So here is my fun little experiment. I am going to give away a $100 Amazon gift card today, this afternoon. What's going to happen is if you start a watch party right now, I want you to go start the watch party, then and make a comment.
That's simple. You click.
That's okay. Make a comment below letting me know that you started the watch party. Then you will be in a bucket of people. I'm going to pull a name on video later today so you can actually see me going through this process. And I'm going to gift you a $100 Amazon gift card. And I hope you buy something really rad with it. Or you could buy like a bunch of Starbucks gift cards and give it out to clients or friends as a way of paying it forward. Go buy your wife something nice, whatever your gig is. But if you start a watch party, come back, comment below saying that you did it. You'll be in a drawing to a $100 gift card this afternoon. We want to impact more people. So Pete, what do you think of that? Is that kind of cool?
Well, I just started my first watch party too over here. I just started it, and so my friends are going to be joining here. They're like, "Who's Pete? Who's Pete with?" I'm with my buddy Amber here. So I just started one. This is my first watch party right now ever. Jennifer and Bonnie and Lisa and Mariah. Wow, this is kind of cool. So this is my first watch party.
Jennifer, Bonnie, click that watch party button right now.
Yeah.
We got to go viral with this message, guys, because there are people online right now claim themselves as experts. And they are just recycling information that they heard from somebody else, from somebody else, from somebody else. And too many people right now who really want to be successful aren't getting accurate, proper, good information on how to achieve their outcomes. Pete is separate from that. Pete's the guy at the top that everybody else is like mimicking. So Pete, we're going to dive in. We're talking to speakers today, both seasoned speakers and people who are thinking about speaking. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but briefly go into why stages? Why should I get excited about being on stages? And one step further, what are the different types of stages out there? Because when I think of stages, I think of I'm standing at a conference on a stage, right? But there are online stages and offline stages. So why stages? Types of stages. What do you got?
Let me, the first part, why stages, and we'll move to types of stages. Why do I even care about stages? Like, I want to start there. Like, why do I even care about stages? You don't hear people use the word stages. I say the word stages 867 times a day. My son makes fun of me, but he's like, there it is, stages, Dad. Like, I say stages all the time. And so people ask that question, like, why do you care so much about stages? And the reason I care so much about stages is because there was a speaker in Denver, Colorado. His daughter was the first girl killed at Columbine back in 1999. I brought him into my youth group because I used to bring these powerful speakers into my youth group because there were only 3 kids my first Wednesday night when I was a youth pastor. And I thought, what if I bring in powerful speakers to come speak to my kids, financial experts, CEOs, health and wellness experts, business owners, whoever. And I'd bring these speakers in, and here's what would happen. Every time I brought a speaker in, my youth group grew. And here's what I'm going to advocate for everybody watching this. Every time you get on a physical or digital stage, which we'll talk about here in a second, your business will grow. My youth group grew when I brought in a speaker. Your business will grow when you're the speaker on the stage. Promise you that. And so my youth group grew from 3 kids to 800 kids in the course of 4 years in a town of 15,000. I got a newspaper article from the local town, Hereford Brand, that documents the fact that we grew to 800 kids in 4 short years. 2 out of those 3 girls, I've officiated their weddings because they helped me spearhead that movement. And what I saw was the power of these speakers I brought in, who I would say were best kept secrets. Nobody knew their messages, but they would come and speak to my kids. My kids would be challenged, they would grow, and then my youth group would grow. One of the speakers that came in, his daughter was the first girl killed at Columbine. He was about the 20th speaker that I brought in. He spoke to the parents one evening. My dad was sitting in the audience, and Daryl said on April 20th, 1999, I had no idea that was going to be the last day I saw my daughter, and I had no idea that I would never be able to say something else to her again. And for you parents in the room today, I've just showed you the importance of creating compassion in your families. And tonight you can do that by doing one of 2 things: going and telling your kids how much you love them, or there's some parents in here that need to ask for forgiveness for some things. And my dad was sitting in the crowd, and my grandmother had taken me away from my dad in 6th grade because of the things that my dad had done to me. And I'm 23 years old, and my dad hasn't made amends with me. And a few weeks later, I get a letter in the mail from my dad, and he says, I'm sorry for the father I've been. Here, my son is having an impact on hundreds of kids' lives, and I can't have an impact on my only son's life. I'm asking you for a second chance. And he told me he loved me multiple times in that letter. That was the day subconsciously, I'm going to show you when this moved to consciously for all of you, but that was the day subconsciously I bought into stages for the rest of my life. Because all of a sudden, one person on one stage in 1 hour did something with my dad that nothing else I could get to do growing up. I tried everything and nothing worked, but finally one person on one stage did it. You're trying everything in your business and things aren't working, but I'm telling you, one stage is going to be game changer for you today. So that was when the subconscious hit. But here's when the conscious hit around why stages. This man, I called him and I said, you just did this for me and my dad. Why aren't you getting this message out there on more stages? And he felt like a best kept secret. He's like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying all of these things to get my daughter's message out into the educational system, but a lot of it's not working. I said, well, what if you get on a stage in front of your ideal buyers and in 1 hour deliver so much amazing content that at the end of that time, they say, I want whatever you have to offer. Okay, who are my ideal buyers? Teachers and parents? I said, no, you want to be speaking to parents and teachers, but you can't do that unless you get the administrators, superintendents, and principals. Major nugget number one, a dream stage is made up of your ideal buyers, your ideal customers. That might not be who you want to impact, but they control the opening of the doors to who you want to impact, or it might be directly who you want to impact. You might want to impact corporate leaders or whatever, but all of a sudden he said, cool, let's test it out. And this whole system that we're talking about today was birthed out of that phone call, because I started bootstrapping in the morning and afternoon of me being a youth pastor, trying to figure out how to get him on a stage and take this best kept secret and all of a sudden make him a household name. And I got the first stage, and her name was Pam Faulkner, and she finally told me yes, and she was the first meeting planner that I had ever spoken, that I had ever won a stage, my very first. God bless Pam, because she is the one who got me addicted to stages. I got Daryl on this stage, and there were 400 administrators in the room. And at the end of that time, we gave them the free gift because we couldn't make an offer from stage. We could not make an offer from stage. And we gave them a free resource on how to change the culture of their schools. 350 of them gave us that resource back at the end and said, what else can you do for us? Do you have programs that you can bring in the schools? And we're like, no, we don't. But we're like, we'll get back to you in the next 2 weeks.
I love that.
And literally in the next 2 weeks, we birthed the program that was $3,000 or $4,000. And from that one follow-up system of those 350 people, we did 5 times the revenue, close to $250,000 from one stage than they had done as an organization in the last 12 months. One stage, 5 times the revenues than what they had done the last 12 months. And more importantly, tens of thousands of students and teachers and parents' lives who would now be deeply impacted. Right. This program would one day become a program that was ending a teen suicide every day, preventing a teen suicide every day, or ending a school shooting like I think every month or 2 months was prevented because of this program. So this is the birthing of it. So it's not just $250,000, it's the tens of thousands of people. But here's the thing. Daryl's revenues were going the wrong way. He felt like the best kept secret, and he was, because they're now today impacting millions of people's lives. And that was the birthing of our whole stages. And so why do stages matter? Stages matter to me because they changed my dad and I's life. That was the subconscious. Why do stages matter? Stages matter to me consciously because I saw it become the fastest way for somebody to get their message out there, be known in the market, and make an impact with that message and create the revenues that are needed to sustain this. That's the reason. And then the last reason is Roland Frazier, a good friend of mine, said in a Facebook post, he said, he goes, the number one way that I would start really growing my business is stages. They're the fastest, safest, most low risk, low cost way to get your message out to the world. And then he said, if I were starting and he said in 30 to 60 minutes, you can generate a few $1,000s in business to a few $1 million in business in 30 to 60 minutes. There's no faster way to grow and sustain your business. If I were just getting started in business, stages would be the number one thing that I would start with. That's why stages, because not only did he say it, I've seen it proven over the last 15 years. And through those 15 years, we booked 25,000 stages across the world, as you know, Amber. So
25,000 stages. I love speakers. I love speaking. I agree. It's the fastest. It's the best. What are a couple of types of stages? Because it's not just about the platform in front of a stuffy conference room. What are some other examples of stages beyond that?
So one of the biggest misconceptions, if you're watching this live or on the recording, is that you have to be a professional speaker to want to be on stages. So let me tell you what a professional speaker is. They get paid a keynote and they make their living just off of speaking. And that's only one way that you can use stages. So we serve thousands of professional speakers, but what we advocate is for stages to be the vehicle that gets your message out to the world, no longer makes you the best kept secret anymore, and actually grows your movement or grows your business. And so here's the cool thing. There are 8 different types of physical stages, what I call offline stages. and there's 8 different types of online stages, or what we call digital stages. And so there are 16 different stages. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to be on a lot of them. I was on 14 physical stages last year and saw multiple 7 figures generated for our business. But I was on 100 online stages last year and saw multiple 7 figures generated in our business. And so what do you mean online? I mean, this is a stage right now today.
Live streaming.
Live is one. Yeah. Webinar is another. Yeah. Podcast is a third. Summits are a fourth. Being built in other people's membership sites or courses, and being the expert for their membership sites or courses are a fifth. Online media is a sixth. Blogs and vlogs is a seventh. And then my 8th one is what in the association world, they call them trainings. Every month or every week, they do trainings for their members. Yep. And you can be a part of those. I was just on a membership-based training right before this training today. 8 online stages, 8 different online stages. I was on 100 of them last year. And the power of the online stage is the fact that, like, people like Pat Flynn says that when somebody's on my podcast, it's called the Pat Flynn effect, because they instantly see their business grow. Another guy by the name of Lance said anytime anybody that's starting a new book is on my live stream, they every single time have become a bestseller just from my live stream alone. So the cool thing is these scale. I did 100 of these from this desk with my 6 little kids' feet, my 3 little kids 6 feet running around above me from my home. That's the power of these. The power of these is that they're in person, human connection, and people consume 60 minutes of your content in 60 minutes of time because you've got a captive audience. And one of the greatest online marketers that exist told me, you're telling me 60 minutes and 60 minutes? If I can get someone to consume 60 minutes of my content online over the course of a year, 360, I'm probably going to get a customer. But you're telling me you get an hour in an hour. Like, how efficient is that? I said, yeah, that's why I call that the 1 hour launch, because in 1 hour and one stage, it can completely change the dynamic and game for your business permanently. And so we did 14 of these last year, because the downside of them is I don't get to hear the little feet, but 14 of them aren't that many. That's just a little bit over 1 a month. And they also generated 7 figures. And the profound impact on these over these is the human connection part of what you can do. So it's not either or. We say pick 1 or 2 online, 1 or 2 offline, make that your portfolio and start getting after it. And let's get on some stages, Amber.
Awesome. So we really only have time for one more question, and it's a good one. But before we do that, I just want for those of you who kind of popped in a little bit late, we are in the middle of an epic giveaway right now. The bottom right of the screen, you have the option to start a watch party. When you do that, it's literally just going to take a copy of this live stream and put it on your personal profile page. That's it. But when you do that and come back and in our comment feed say, I started a watch party, you're going to be in a drawing to win a $100 Amazon gift card. I am awarding the winner within the hour after this live stream ends. So you've got to click watch party, come back in the comments, let me know, and hopefully you win $100 today. So that's cool.
That's cool.
All right, last question is this. Can you try to articulate, like, what's the landscape out there if I choose, like, if I don't know about Pete and his trainings and his systematic approach, which we're going to get into, and I'm just kind of going out there, what's the landscape? What's the pain like, or, you know, the journey for the average speaker versus if I can learn a system that gives me a more predictable outcome that saves my time, what is possible? Like, what's the landscape potential over here? And maybe you talk about some of your clients as an example.
Yeah, so here's the cool thing. Like, I think about like the landscape, the possibilities that exist. Somebody who doesn't have a business that's watching this today, let's talk about that. There isn't a faster way to launch your business than one stage. I think about Brad Martineau, and a lot of people know Brad Martineau today, but a lot of people didn't know Brad Martineau 6 or 7 years ago. He started a company called Sixth Division. He was laid off from his previous job at Infusionsoft. He was out trying to decide, what am I going to go do? And Brad said, I'm going to go try to speak at this one event. At that one event, his business was launched with 6 figures at that one event. And so for the people out there that are like, man, what am I supposed to do to launch my business? What I would advocate for is stages can do that. Yeah, Pete, that was a physical stage. I can't do that. Well, I have another good friend in California that's avoided stages. And last week or a couple weeks ago, he was on a digital stage and had a very similar impact from being on one digital stage. And so for that person who who's trying to launch a business, stages are an incredible way to do it when done correctly. I think about the person in a full-time job right now that wants to transition out of it, or isn't got complete freedom of, like yesterday, I had somebody hit me up and say, I want to get out of this thing that I'm doing because I'm not passionate and I want to move to this thing. So I think about Karen Worstell. Karen Worstell was an incredible, successful employee of Microsoft, I'm pretty sure. But she was the chief information officer. It's a big deal. And she said, Pete, I have a goal to really replace me and my husband's income in 6 months. Can stages do that? I said, no doubt about it. If you'll be committed to a system that we put in front of you, they absolutely can do it. And literally in 6 months, she replaced it with 6 figures of income, with stages being the #1 customer acquisition channel for her. So that's the landscape for that person. What about the person who's got a successful business today? I think about a guy that we were just talking about. His name is Chandler Bolt. Chandler Bolt had a multi-million-dollar company, but he avoided stages because of the misconceptions of stages. Hopefully I've broken a lot of those misconceptions in our short time today. He had all of those. Oh, I got to be a professional speaker. They're a rat race. I'm going to have to be on the road. And I think about Chandler. And Chandler said, Pete, I'll give it a shot. He was already doing several $million. And he drove to a stage. By the way, for many of you out there, there's local stages. That's the one offline stage I forgot. Local stages in your backyard that you could drive to. He drove to a stage in San Diego, 27 people. He gave his first talk, 9 customers,
wow.
$20,000. Now you might say $20,000, he's already a big business. He said, what happens if I'm in front of 270 people? This would have been a $200,000 stage. So he said, Pete, I'm committed to your process. And he went through some of the stuff that you're going to give to everybody here today for free. And in 2018, on December 31st, 2018, he made a post on Facebook. You can go look at it, Chandler Bolt. And he said, in 2017, we generated 0 from stages. I got introduced to Pete Vargas and his methodology. And now, as of 2018, by just being on 24 stages, stages have become a 7-figure customer acquisition channel for our business in 2018, just from 24 stages. So everybody, that's the landscape. Or then you got the last one, I promise. You got the parents here, like me. And I think of Stu McLaren. Stu McLaren absolutely thought in order to do speaking, you had to be a road warrior. And all of a sudden he got introduced to our methodology. He's like, you're telling me I can be on 4 or 6 stages a year? That's it? And now Stu, from 4 to 6 stages a year, not only does that create significant income in his business, his wife and him have a nonprofit. I think it's probably a couple $1 million. And the majority of their income for the nonprofit also comes from them being on stages.
That's awesome.
That's the landscape of stages. Hopefully you can find yourself in all of that. And Amber, I'm excited because I want more of the people watching this to really take stages seriously in this next 12 months.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for sharing all of that. So, one of the reasons that I asked Pete to come on for this experience is because there's a lot of people in my audience that are speaking, but know that they should dial it up a notch, and they really don't know how. And if we're being honest, you probably also feel like maybe your speech could be sculpted a little bit better, or maybe you could present it a little bit better, right? And so Pete not only can really train you on the business of speaking, but he also does help you prepare for that as well in terms of your speech and your stage performance. And he actually created this free video series, which I'll share my screen with you here for a minute. We'll put the link inside of the comments below. But look, I have to be clear. This isn't some ploy or some trick. I signed up for this and I show up every year at Pete's live event, and I have been driving business to Pete ever since I met him all of those years ago. So this is so much deeper and wider than anything that I can articulate. But he does have this 4-part workshop series. We'll put the link below. Sign up for it. It's free. Name, email. Unsubscribe if you don't like it, but I know you will. So I feel very confident even giving you that as a guarantee.
Yeah.
You're going to learn everything that you need to learn about how to grow your audience, scale, make a bigger impact using stages. Pete, do you want to add anything since this?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the big bold promise. Amber was the very first one to build our very first website on a very limited budget because we had no revenues 4 years ago. No revenues, zero. And I was struggling trying a lot of the bright, shiny object things that the market told me to do, like all of this crazy stuff, like you got to run ads and you got to have all these funnels and you got to do all this blogging and you got to do all of this stuff. And I was losing a lot of, I wasn't able to get any sustainability. And then all of a sudden, and so therefore Amber's building my very first website. I'm like, I have a little budget, and she did an amazing job for us. And literally we changed and shifted and said, no, we're going to begin to get on stages. And we got on stages, and in 4 short years, our business has grown, with stages being the #1 way from 0 to 8 figures. And there's 3 things that people really want to dial in. We're in the next 2 weeks. This workshop was one of the very first products, a product that we released 3 years ago for thousands of dollars. And we want you to go through this workshop completely free of charge. And we're going to do a few things. #1, we're going to dial in your greatest marketing tool, which is your talk. If you're afraid of speaking, we're going to help you overcome the fear of speaking, and we're going to get you dialed in with one talk. It's the same process we walked through with Damon John and Michael Hyatt and JJ Virgin and so many others that have hired us one-on-one to work with them. And we're going to dial in your talk. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to get clear on what stages you want to go after, and we're going to help you win those stages. And so one of my gifts in this workshop is I'm actually going to give you a list of thousands of stages that you will know how to win those stages after you're done with that training. And then the last piece of the workshop is we're going to show you how this is going to become one of the greatest customer acquisition tools in your business. And so once we get those foundational things built out, we're going to run a couple of major live events where I'm going to introduce you to all of my friends who are meeting planners, who control thousands of stages across the world. And I'm going to let you get inside their minds on how they think about what they decide when they're hiring speakers. So all of that, Amber, is free. We only do it 1 time a year for the next couple of weeks. And so we want all of your community and all of your tribe to be a part of this workshop.
Well, I will do my part and get the word out. And
No, you will.
I just can't thank you enough for your time. You have to get out of here. I held you late, and I'm
No, it's my fault. I went a little long.
Of you.
Well, actually, you know what? We're good. So, I mean, I've got actually 3 or 4 minutes. I just found that out. So anything you want to wrap up or any other thoughts that you have?
Well, I would turn that over to the community of live viewers right now. You guys are welcome to post any follow-up questions below. You're still welcome to start a watch party. If you do that, bottom right corner of the screen, click Start Watch Party. That will put a live feed on your personal page. Because the reality is that who knows how many people in your community could really benefit from this information. This is like a gift that we are giving to the world by giving them the right kind of training, not recycled stuff that somebody heard from somebody else a year ago. It starts at the top. It starts right here with Pete and his system and the way that he does things. So it's a gift to your community to share this live stream on your feed. And if somebody else in your community is watching this and they apply what Pete teaches and then goes out and has the kind of results that Pete spoke about at the very beginning of this live stream, really consider what that impact would mean to our world that very, very desperately needs leaders right now. Come on. So that's my call to action,
Yeah.
is like, let's do the right thing here. So start the watch party. And as my gift to you, as my little side experiment with my marketer hat on, anybody who does start a watch party, just make sure to comment below. Let me know that you did it. Put your name in a hat. And on video later today, I'm going to draw the name of the winner, and I'm going to gift you a $100 Amazon gift card as a thank you for just spreading this message. This is the kind of stuff that I like to do. Any
Yeah.
last closing comments from you, my friend?
Yeah, I believe there's one story that I think is important. A lot of people ask the question, can I do it? Like, can I really be the one to do it? Like, can this work for me? Like, I'm shy, I'm nervous, I'm afraid, I've never tried it. I've tried it, it didn't work. So what I want you to know is for 15 years, I did it for other people. And then when it came time for me to do it for myself, I avoided stages. And like I told you, I tried everything else but stages. And all of that stuff flopped and failed. And I think a self-conscious part of me said, you know, I'm overweight and who wants to hear from me on a stage? And what do I have to say? And by all of those other things failing, I said, I got to go try it. And I remember being on my very first stage a few years ago. And I thought, man, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on all of this other stuff that's not working in my business. Will this stage work for me?
That's a great point.
And I got like $10,000. I got like 10 new customers. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It works. And we just continued to double down. And that leads me up to this January. You know this, not everybody knows this, but fast forward 4 years, I was right where a lot of people watching this are 4 years ago, but I'm on a stage of 30,000 people and I am the final speaker. And that day I get to talk about one of our products and services. And a lot of people think, man, Pete, we heard that you had 1,000 new customers and you did multiple seven figures from one stage. Was that like your proudest moment? That was a freaking amazing proud moment. That wasn't the most proud moment. The most proud moment for me was the fact for the very first time in my life, my dad was sitting in the stadium and I got to talk about the front end of a wrestling relationship with my dad and the back end, how amazing my dad is today. And as I talked about the amazing father that my dad is today, they put my dad up on the big screen and he was in tears. And here's what I got to say. I said, had it not been for one courageous person to go share their message on a stage, my relationship with my dad wouldn't be like it is today. And there's thousands of others' relationships restored because of that one man's message of forgiveness and compassion. And I said, you have a message for the world. And this is what I want to end with. All of you have a message for the world. And I feel like you have a moral obligation to get it out there on a bigger scale. And stages are the way to do that, Amber. So I hope all of them sign up. It's going to be amazing. And yeah, I'm excited about it.
Couldn't agree more, man. Well, thank you for giving yourself to the world the way that you do. I know it matters to me. I think the world of you, you know that. And I look forward to seeing you soon at the next event. And everybody else, thank you for your time. Comment below, start the watch party, and we'll be back later today.